the best CPU cooler in 2025 can be extremely confusing. How big a cooler do you need for your CPU? Should you go for air or liquid cooling? And what are the best CPU coolers on the market in 2025? Welcome back to PC Builder, I'm Jason. This video is going to give you the simple advice that you need to buy the best cooler for Ryzen CPUs and Intel CPUs in 2025, and we'll make specific product recommendations for every budget level. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like so it really helps out the channel, and of course subscribe for more cool PC content. Let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by VIP SCDKey. Say goodbye to crazy expensive Windows licenses and that terrible Activate Windows watermark. Right now, use the links in the video description, head over to VIP SCDKey and get a Windows 10 or 11 OEM license for a great price. Pick your product license, then use the PC Builder discount code PC25 for an additional 30% off. Go to the activation settings on your PC, put in the code, and boom! Windows is fully licensed for a crazy low price. And they have Microsoft Office licenses too. Use the links in the video description. Let's start off with liquid versus air CPU coolers in 2025. Air coolers have come a long way in 2025. They're more powerful and affordable than ever. You can now cool high-end CPUs like the Ryzen 9 950X3D with air coolers under $50 in the US, and they're unbeatable value for budget builds. As long as the cooler design ensures good contact with the CPU, the only real concern is the fan, which typically lasts up to 10 years, and it's easy to replace on most models. The downsides? Air coolers can ramp up noise quickly under sudden loads, they're bulkier, they may need more vertical clearance, and dual tail models can overhang the first two RAM slots. What about liquid coolers? Well, there's two kinds. There's custom loops and all-in-one, or AIO for short. We're focusing on AIOs here, as custom loops are extremely complex. In 2025, AIO liquid coolers are more affordable, starting at around $45, and they can outperform air coolers under heavy loads, though most builds won't reach that level. AIOs also offer a more consistent noise profile, sleeker visuals, and options like LCD screens without covering your RAM. However, they come with potential failure point, the pump. In 2025, leaks are almost unheard of, but a dead pump means no cooling. And for budget builds, the extra cost doesn't make sense. An AIO cooler also has to be installed properly, with at least part of the radiator above the pump. I'll link our AIO installation guide in the video description for more. So is air or liquid CPU cooling better in 2025? Well, for budget gaming PCs, air is really the only way to go. For mid-range and higher-end builds, personally, I prefer liquid coolers, but in 2025, there's no wrong answer. It's really up to your preference. So what type of CPU coolers are you going to find on the market in 2025? Well, for air coolers, most downdraft style CPU coolers, they're relatively cheap. And sometimes CPUs like the Ryzen 5600 or i5 12400 come with included downdraft style coolers that we refer to as stock coolers. For space-constrained Mini ITX builds, there are more powerful and more expensive downdraft style coolers. Budget tower air coolers cost between $18 to $35 US and are an incredibly powerful upgrade over the downdraft style coolers and a staple of budget and mid-range PC builds. Dual tower air coolers start around $30 US and make a huge leap up in cooling performance, now able to cool even the most powerful Ryzen CPUs. Liquid AIO CPU cooler categories are named by the size of the fan that they use, either 120mm fans or the less common 140mm fan. An AIO cooler with two 140mm fans is called a 240mm AIO. 3 120mm fans is a 360mm. As the number of fans goes up, the radiator also gets larger. An AIO that uses two 140mm fans is called a 280mm, and the biggest is a 420mm AIO that uses three 140mm fans. Single fan AIOs are only as powerful as a budget tower air cooler, and I'd only consider these for space-constrained Mini ITX builds, mostly due to their cost. 240mm AIOs are the most common and start around $45, and 360mm AIOs start around $60 and can be incredibly powerful for extreme CPU heat loads. Here's a controversial topic: how much thermal paste do you need to use? Well, repeated testing has shown that too much paste, that's fine, while not using enough, that hurts performance. Personally, I err on the side of slightly too much paste. I typically make a thin X with 4 very small dots in between, then using the paste spatula or other rigid edge to spread the paste about evenly across the CPU before I install the cooler. Virtually every CPU cooler in 2025 will come with enough thermal paste for at least one application, so you don't necessarily need to buy your own, but a tube of Arctic MX4 with the paste spreader, it's about $7. Some coolers come with pre-applied thermal paste on the bottom of the cooler, and that's generally fine as well. Now, thermal paste will typically degrade in 3 to 5 years, depending on the paste, and you'll need to clean it off and reapply the thermal paste, which is fairly easy to do. Check your paste for its estimated lifespan. You can buy a high-performance thermal paste like Thermal Grizzly Duranaut for about $20 on Amazon or $11 directly from Thermal Grizzly, but I'd only recommend this as an option for higher-end PC builds. Otherwise, spend that $20 just getting a better cooler. There are also thermal pads available as an alternative to thermal paste like the Thermal Grizzly Cryo Sheet, but again, it's an additional cost. I'd only consider this for mid-range or higher-end builds. So you do need a contact frame for your CPU. Well, short answer, no for AMD, no for most Intel CPUs, and only maybe for unlocked Intel i7, i9, 13th and 14th gen CPUs like the i9-14900K and i7-14700K. CPU contact frames replace the stock CPU retention mechanism. Intel's retention mechanism applies uneven pressure, but this only really matters for high heat CPUs like the i9-14900K. Installing a contact frame means removing the motherboard retention mechanism, which does carry a small risk of damaging those motherboard pins. That's why I don't recommend it for AMD CPUs. There's not really any benefit, or most Intel CPUs, including the Core Ultra 200. Even for the i7-14700K, if you're a beginner, I'd probably skip it. How much CPU cooling does your CPU require? We'll focus on relevant new CPUs available at retail in 2025, and for Ryzen CPUs, I am assuming that we're going to enable Precision Boost Overdrive. That's AMD's one-click auto overclocking feature for free additional performance. Now, for the most popular budget gaming CPUs, so like the Ryzen 5600, 5600X, 5600T, and the i5-12400 and 12400F, these all come with perfectly adequate stock coolers. You can add a budget tower air cooler for better noise and thermals. For the i5-12600K, Intel 13th and 14th gen locked i5 CPUs like the i5-14400 and the Ryzen 5700X, I recommend at least a budget tower air cooler, though the 5700X and i5-12600K, they can benefit from a cheap dual tower cooler. My minimum recommendation for the Ryzen 5700X 3D for you upgraders out there is a dual tower air cooler or a cheap 240mm AIO. Now moving over to mid-range gaming Ryzen CPUs, we've got the Ryzen 7000 and 9000 CPUs in the Ryzen 5 lineup, like the Ryzen 7600X, Ryzen 7600, Ryzen 9600X, and Ryzen 7500F. I want you to avoid the Ryzen 7400F and any Ryzen 8000 series APU. For Ryzen 5 7000 9000 series CPUs, I recommend at least a budget tower air cooler, and honestly, that's all you really need, as long as your case has good airflow. The Ryzen 7500F and 7600 non-X, they do come with an included stock cooler. It's fine, but given how cheap budget tower air coolers are, and given that we can get some additional performance, I'd switch it out. Intel mid-range gaming CPUs include the 13th and 14th gen unlocked i5 CPUs like the 14600K and 13600K, along with the Core Ultra 7 265K. Now, these are harder to cool, and I recommend at least a dual tower air cooler, though these are very well suited to a 240mm AIO cooler or larger. Moving up to higher-end gaming CPUs, we've got the Ryzen 7 CPUs in the 7000 and 9000 series, like the Ryzen 7700X, Ryzen 9700X, and the Ryzen 9800X 3D, along with the Ryzen 7800X 3D, with the X3D CPUs being a little tougher to cool than the regular Ryzen 7 CPUs. I recommend a minimum of a dual tower air cooler for both performance and noise. And these CPUs are also great with a 240mm AIO or larger cooler. Particularly for the Ryzen 9800X 3D, you're spending quite a bit on this build. I mean, the CPU is almost $500, so don't cheap out on the cooling. For higher-end Ryzen production CPUs in the Ryzen 9 range for the 7000 and 9000 series, like the Ryzen 9900X, 9950X, and the X3D variants like the Ryzen 9950X 3D, a good quality dual tower air cooler is absolutely fine. Though depending on how heavy the heat load is for your workloads, I'd look to a good quality 240mm or 360mm cooler for the most consistent noise performance. For high-end Intel production CPUs like the i9-14900K, i7-14700K, and the Core Ultra 9, while a high-quality dual tower air cooler, it might be fine. My personal preference is for a quality 280mm or 360mm performance AIO cooler. Let's jump into our best CPU cooler 2025 recommendations. Now, everything's listed down in the video description, Prices obviously subject to change, so check those links out for current pricing and availability in your region. If coolers go out of stock or new coolers come on the market, we'll certainly switch up those links. Let's jump into the best budget CPU cooler 2025. Now, I am going to recommend you just skip over those downdraft style coolers except for small form factor builds. We will have some small form factor like Mini ITX build recommendations later in the video. But if you're looking to spend as little as you can, especially if you're looking for a great budget tower air cooler, but let's start off with the ones I really like. Let's start with the ID Cooling SE214XT. Absolutely love this cooler. You have used it a ton. It's great. It comes in black, comes in white. ARGB looks phenomenal on the fan. The fan is very, very quiet. This one is $18 for the black one. The white one is $16.99. It comes like an all black blackout with no RGB. And then it comes with a dual fan version. The dual fan version doesn't do anything extra, basically. That second fan is not necessary. All you need is that first fan. But if you want to get it, you certainly can spend $2 extra. Again, $18, very easy to install as well. There is a slightly more refined version of it. This is the ID Cooling Frozen A410. So it just has that kind of, rather than have that industrial look, although I think the other one has a little bit of a refined look, this has a like very, very smooth, very clean lines on it. There's an ARGB black version here for $35, ARGB version, a white version here for $35, and then there's an all black, no RGB version. And then there's the dual fan. Again, you don't need the dual fan. That second fan isn't helping on a cooler that's only that thin. Moving on to Cooler Master. Cooler Master has the Hyper 212. This is basically their low-cost cooler that they've introduced in the last year or so. With the $2 coupon here, it's $17.99, so it's adequately priced. It looks good. I have not personally used this one before, however, has very, very positive reviews, and it has very good third-party benchmarks as well out there, so it's a pretty good performer for $17. If you really do like Cooler Master and you always wanted that Hyper 212 back in the day, here it is. It's down to $29. Remember when this was like a $60 CPU cooler? Totally insane that CPU coolers, how far they've come in the last couple of years, that you can pick this up. Sometimes it even gets down to like $25. No RGB on it. It is what it looks like there with their SickleFlow fans on it. But especially for those of you who built a PC back in the day with one of these and you want another one, here it is. One of my personal favorites is the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Halo. Comes in black, comes in all white. You saw the all white one sitting on the desk in its box there. I absolutely love the Cooler Master Halo fans because not only do they have the RGB here, but they have the RGB in a ring around the fan. To me, these look phenomenal. I used to have the AIO Cooler that had those fans on them as well in my previous build. 2 thumbs up, $33. Sometimes they throw like a $5 coupon on this, but that's about the price you'll typically pay, and it's a very good performer. Let's jump over to Thermalright. They've got 10 bazillion of these coolers, so I'm just gonna give you the ones that I like the best. Starting off with kind of the cheapest one, the Thermalright Assassin X120 Refined, $19 cooler. If you like that more industrial look where you can see the tops of the heat pipes here, this is a good look, and this is a very good cooler. Typically very, very easy to install as well for $19. Then we got the Thermalright Assassin Spirit. If you're looking for something with that more refined, clean lines to it, you're basically going to spend about $6-7 extra for the kind of nice lines on the top. The RGB on the fan is very nice. Also comes in white as well as black. Typically very easy to install. Here's a cooler I'm super excited about. I didn't even know this existed. I think these just came out recently. So this is the Assassin X120R Digital. Comes in white, comes in black with ARGB. And look at this. It's got on the top of it, it's got a very small LCD screen that you attach. I probably using the USB 2.0 header in order to run this, and you can actually use it to see your CPU temps. I absolutely love that. Our next build, I promise, is going to be with this cooler. What I can't understand is how they make this for $25. $25. Like when Deepcool was still allowed to do business in the United States and they were coming out with similar coolers, those coolers were going to be like $40 for something like that. So the fact that they've gotten this down to $25 is insane. Vetroo V5 is also a great competitor out there. $29, comes in white, comes in black. The reason I'm showing you this, again, there's so many of these coolers, I could do a whole video just on budget tower air coolers, is because it does come in pink. I know some of people out there really want to do like a pink PC build. This is one of the best options out there. They also have an AIO in pink as well. Moving on to the best CPU cooler 2025 for mid-range air coolers. Mid-range air coolers, and honestly, these are going to be good for even high-performance CPUs outside of the insane to cool i9 14900K and 14700K, which again, I do recommend AIOs for rather than air coolers, but these are insane values. And let me give you basically your new champ. This is the id Cooling Frozen A620 Pro SE. SE stands for second edition. It massively improves on the first iteration of this cooler, and it knocked off the previous champ, which we'll visit in just a second, which is Thermalright Peerless Assassin and Thermalright Phantom Spirit. And it does so at a cheaper price point. So this is just crazy. It also has that nice kind of refined look to it. $29. It's a dual tower cooler. It looks phenomenal, by the way. It performs phenomenal, easy to install. You can also get it in ARGB if you want a little ARGB on your build. Now, that's for $39. Now, there is supposed to be a white version of this coming. It's on id Cooling's website here. However, there's no retail links for it just to it. I can't find it anywhere at retail. I'll keep looking for it. As soon as I find it, I will put it down in the video description. But not only is this the highest performance cooler right now among those coolers, it's also the quietest. So there you go. Of course, if you do like the more industrial look of the Thermalright Peerless Assassin or Thermalright Phantom Spirit, they're essentially interchangeable, then grab this instead. These are still insanely performative CPU coolers, and they're just barely edged out by the id Cooling ones. So if you are looking for that more industrial look, this is definitely the one that I would grab. $37 for the ARGB one in black with the metal finish. You can also get this in all white, and it is available right now for $43. So if you don't want to wait around for the id Cooling one and you want an all white one, I would definitely pick this up. Thermalright also has the Phantom Spirit 120 EVO. The EVO is just their name for when they have a cleaner look like this. It's got some tasteful RGB around the fan, but it's just little highlights. It's not the whole fan. And really, really good performer. Basically performs about the same as the Thermalright Phantom Spirit out there. Not a big difference. $49 if you're looking for more of that kind of clean black look. And as with the other coolers, Thermalright has recently rolled out the Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 digital. So ARGB in both black and white. I don't think I showed you the white one for the single tower cooler, but they do have a white version of the single tower cooler. And again, you not only does you have room for the CPU temps, but you also have room for the GPU temps. So it's a much larger screen, obviously a larger cooler, larger screen on it. For $46, really insane. So if you're looking for really, really amazing cooling performance and you're looking for the LCD screen, I would pick up one of these. Cooler Master also gets in the game here with the dual tower coolers. Right now, $39 after you do that $10 coupon. It's got that black and metal finish to it. It's a very good performer. Is it as high performance as the other ones? It's very, very close. You could measure the difference. I don't think you could tell the difference if you were just a normal person. So if this one strikes you better, or if this one's more available in your market, go ahead and pick it up. Of course, Cooler Master also has a Hyper 622 Halo in dual tower version as well. This is supposed to be the white listing. I'm not sure what's going on with their listings here. It's also available at Newegg. It looks like the black is completely sold out at the time of filming. It usually goes for about $60. I think this is a third-party seller here for $64 for the white version. Again, if you're looking for super cool looking stuff, I really like the look of this one. I will say this one slightly less performative than the other coolers that we were looking at. Again, would you notice the difference? Probably not in day-to-day use. The one thing I think you would notice is the looks on this. So if you want something that really kind of has that RGB-ness to it, maybe pick this up. Moving over to the best CPU cooler 2025 for all-in-one liquid coolers. And listen, there are tons of models out there. I can't possibly go through them all. I'm going to give you some great budget models. We're going to go through some really good high-performance coolers, and then we're going to add in like LCD screens and cool stuff like that. Let me give you my top picks for the best budget AIO out there in 2025. Thermalright Aqua Elite 240. The V3 is the one that I've used. There is now a version 4 out there. I haven't seen reviews of it, but for 45 bucks, just get this one. Not only is it a pretty decent performer, it's not the highest performance cooler out there, but it's amazing for 45 bucks here, and it's pretty good on noise as well. In fact, I found it quite quiet. In fact, I found the pump almost dead silent, even about like 90 up to 100% pump speed. $55 for a 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. Comes in white, comes in black with ARGB. Insane. Moving into the more high performance coolers out there, I like the id Cooling FX360 Infinity Mirror version. There's a 240 version, but the 360 has really, really good performance, and it's only $5 difference. Obviously, if your case can't fit a 360, it can only fit a 240. Go ahead and grab that. This is a very good performing cooler. It's not quite on par exactly with some of the coolers I'm going to show you, but it's very, very close. Again, you don't need insane cooling performance for just gaming too. Remember, when you're just gaming, it's a lot less heat load on your CPU than if you're just hammering that thing with Cinebench R23 on like a 1 hour loop or something like that. That's typically the stress test they use on a lot of these coolers. And this comes in a lot of different colors. It comes in a pink version. I know some people get excited about that. It comes in a black version, and it comes in an all white version. Again, $75 for really good cooling performance and pretty good noise. Montech Hyperflow ARGB is kind of taking the world by storm. This is actually one of the best performance coolers out there right now, and it's only $99. You can get this in white, you can get this in black. It does come in a 240 version as well as a 360. There's also no RGB versions of these coolers if you want for like $70. Those are for the 240s, or $80 for the both in white and black for the 360 millimeter. But if you do want something that both has that ARGB awesomeness and is a high performance cooler, check out the Montech Hyperflow. Of course, we have to mention the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3. Now, this is the Pro 360 version. This is a newer version of the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3. They've added an additional fan blade to each of the fans. Arctic is claiming that this is going to get them to regain their king of the hill status out there, because it had been knocked down by some of the other coolers out there. It's still very high performance. It still has a really nice look. I really like the pump head on this, by the way. It's got a really cool ARGB on it. There are complaints about the noise on the pump. You can always turn the pump down a little bit to like 70% if that's really bothering you. But yes, there were noise complaints at higher pump levels, and I did hear it myself at 100%. That's why I turned it down to about 85, I think, before it went totally silent on me. $108 right now for the 360, really good deal. There's no pro version yet of the 240 that I can find anywhere. It's just the regular version, so you can also pick that up for $113. Of course, if you're looking to add an LCD screen to your all-in-one liquid cooler with ARGB, look no further than the cheapest one right here, the Thermalright. Now, this is the FW360 SE ARGB. Now, the FW, I believe, stands for Frozen Warfare for some reason. $73 for a 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. It's pretty good performer, by the way. No slouch on it. And it has this LCD screen on it, which is really cool. Now, this LCD screen isn't quite as good as some of the super high-end coolers out there that you'll see, but it's perfectly good to do GIFs on, to do even kind of little videos on, and you can do stuff like this where you can put your temps on, you can put a logo on it. It's got a lot of versatility to it. $73, that is a pretty insane price for this. It also comes in all white as well. If you are looking for a slightly better screen or a slightly bigger screen as well, this is a 480 by 480 IPS LCD screen. The Thermalright Grand Vision 240 ARGB in black is $95, and the 360, not much more, it's $128. So not terrible in terms of overall pricing on these. Again, it comes with the LCD screen. That is an insane price. And then this is the Tryx Panorama 2nd Edition 360 ARGB. This is the one that took the world by storm last year, but they came back because the pump was a little noisy on it, the fans were a little noisy on it, and the cooling performance wasn't quite up to par where they wanted it, and it was very expensive. I think it was like $400 or $500. So they came back. It's now $279, comes in white, comes in black, and it's got the panorama screen. So it's got that cool bent screen to it, and it's a much better and quieter AIO cooler. In fact, it basically ties the older Liquid Freezer 3 before the Pro version in terms of cooling performance. So if you want both high performance cooling and you want something that looks totally amazing and totally unique right now, although I do know a number of companies are coming out with the panorama screens, kind of copying Tryx on this, this is a good model to pick up. Moving over the best CPU cooler 2025 for small form factor builds. It's like mini ITX builds. What is the best, especially downdraft coolers like this? And a lot of this is going to come down to how much vertical clearance you have. And in fact, if you look through some of these, I'm on Amazon right now, it'll say frequently returned item. And that's because people fail to measure their vertical clearance. They go to put it in there like, oh, this is too big. I'll send it back to Amazon and I'll get a different one. So make sure you measure your vertical clearance if this is a small form factor build. Let's start off with really tight ones. So these are 37 millimeters. This is the Thermalright AXP90 X36. That's just 36 millimeters in height. That's what the X36 means. This is a 92 millimeter fan. This is a pretty good performer. I know a lot of people like, where's the Noctua NHL9? Listen, man, that thing costs like $60 or $50, and it only delivers similar cooling performance to this guy right here. Now you can get this $21. This is the all black version. There's also kind of a gray and metal version to it. Honestly, for most small form factor builds, you're not going to see in it. They don't have a glass pain or anything, you're just not going to see it whatsoever. So I'd go with something like this. If you do have a little bit more clearance on them, obviously you're going to get more cooling performance. And especially if you're going to go up to like a 9700X or 9800X 3D, I look at going up in terms of cooling performance. I like the ID Cooling IS55. This is a low profile cooler. Again, 55 millimeters in terms of its overall height. $40 right now. You can also pick up, for some reason, the ARGB version is $5 cheaper. It doesn't really matter, again, because most people aren't putting this on a build that's got any kind of glass panel on it. But I've used this in the past for small form factor builds and been pretty happy with it with like a Ryzen 7700X. As we get into even taller coolers out there, you can get even more performance. So if you're looking more like a 67 millimeter height, then the Thermalright XP120 X67 is a good one. This actually uses a 120 millimeter fan on it, and it's a great low profile cooler that's going to fit into a lot of builds. But again, check that clearance out there, only $30. And finally, and I promise I'm not sponsored by Thermalright at all, they just make some really good cooling products out there. If you do have room in your build for an AIO, I would possibly recommend doing this, especially for higher heat loads. Those downdraft coolers are great, but you also have to have very, very good airflow in your PC in order to get the most out of them. This is going to work, especially in a lot of space-constrained builds. Now, obviously, you have to be able to make sure that the AIO is going to fit in there. You're going to be able to run the tubes to it, and you're going to be able to mount that AIO in the right place. But if you can, I would look at the Thermalright Aqua Elite V3 120, and it's only $35. Now, yes, there are a lot of other 120s out there, some of them higher performance than this one, but they're all like 80 or 90 bucks. And if you need that much cooling, maybe you go that route. But if not, I would pick up this. Remember, everything is linked down in the video description, including all the links to all these products. We will update those if new coolers come out that we really like. And of course, our build guides are down there, as well as our buying guides for stuff like best Ryzen motherboard and others. If you got value out of this video, please give a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. What kind of PC content? Did you check out our best CPU and GPU combo video 2025? What's the best CPU and GPU combo in 2025? Check it out, and we'll catch you on the next one.